Well, hey, how y'all doing? It's Sharonda, and hey, how y'all doing? And today, per usual, most always, I'm here to talk some books. So let's get into this thing, shall we? Hey, how y'all doing? I hope you guys are doing okay. I hope you're having a great weekend so far. I hope your Friday at least started off nice. Hope your weekend is even better. I'm okay. Yes. And, and today I'm just gonna be doing quick wrap up, weekly wrap up, with some bookish thoughts. So basically, just some shit I've been reading. So it has been a good reading week. I've read about honestly 6 books, and I'm in the middle of listening and reading one right now. And that's pretty exciting for me because generally yeah, it takes me about maybe sometimes up to 2 weeks to even get one book done, depending on what I got going on and time and, work and jobs and all that other stuff. So it's a lot. So, but what has been really helping me out a lot is that I've been listening and reading at the same time. So I've been listening to majority of the books, and then to keep my reading streak up, what's in the Kindle app, the last maybe couple of chapters I'll go and read them. So, but if you have the Alexa app, as you know, with that app, you're able to have Alexa read your books, your Kindle books to you. Rather you purchase them, or if you get them through the Kindle Unlimited program. So it really helps me out a lot. You know what I mean? And Audible to me is just like that's just another expense that I can't even wrap my head around right about now. So so having Alexa really helps out. Only thing it doesn't do is like if you have like any ARCs or anything like that, it won't read those because those are documents, what's in your Kindle library, and it's not going to read the documents for you, which is perfectly fine because I have some books that need to be read, okay? But that's how I was also able to get, like, when I did my Kindle TBR cleanup, that's how I was able to get a lot of my books completed and up out of my library. Like my library, if I stop adding stuff to it, it's pretty clean right now. But I had a good reading week, and I read some pretty exciting books for me, and majority of them are um, new to me authors. So that's been exciting too. And generally, I, it depends on the genre and stuff. Sometimes you just stick with what is what they say. But I have really come across some great books by some new to me authors, and we just gonna go ahead and jump right into this thing, okay? Actually, 7 books because I finished another book yesterday, and that one totally blew me away. But anyway, let's go. So first, I want to start with Pumpkin Spice and Poltergeist, by Kaye Mulford. This was part of my reading. I do like silent reading wrap ups or whatever. If you've seen the videos floating around on here or on my Instagram, but it was technically this one was part of my reading wrap up for what month did we just get out of, y'all? September. But I'm adding it to this far as like some bookish thoughts, a review basically. And this is a sapphic romance. It is also paranormal. It's set in a small town, and mostly the town is full of paranormals. But anyway, in this town we have Jordan, who's a witch. She's a resident, who starts a romance with a human who comes to move into this paranormal town. But one night, Jordan, who is kind of like missing her ex girlfriend, who is no longer with us, conjures her ghost because she just wanted to like cleanly cut things off. She, she was drinking, she was in her feelings, thought they didn't have a clean break and things like that. So she conjured the ex-girlfriend. The ex-girlfriend comes back like, Jordan, girl, what are we doing here? Like, I'm okay over there. What you call me over here, girl? What you call me over here for? So, what ends up happening? So a couple of things start from there. Um, Now that Jordan has conjured her ex-girlfriend's ghost, her and her roommate, who is I forgot what her roommate was. I honestly forgot. I think her roommate was she a witch too? She was a witch, but she was something else. But her and the roommate now have to get the ghost ex-girlfriend back to the other side before she becomes like a vengeful spirit, or basically like her ghostly form gets trapped in the earthly realm, and that would not be good. So they have to do that. Also with that, Jordan runs into Harlow, who is the newest human that has moved into this town. Harlow moves there to help her sister out. Her sister, who is also human, um, runs and owns a coffee shop there. This is, I'm sorry, I did not even say, this is the first book in her Maple Hollow series. So the sister moves to Maple Hollow because she's having a hard time at life. Just shit just ain't going right for Harlow. She trying to figure some shit out. So sister's like, you know what, just bring your ass here. Work at the store for a little while. We try to figure this shit out, okay? And her and Jordan meet. There's instant attraction, and they start, this friendship that slowly becomes a romance. Okay, um, but while this romance is developing between Harlow and Jordan, we have the issue of getting the ex-girlfriend back. But also, now that the ex-girlfriend is here in the human world, she's like, you know what? I don't want you calling me back here. If you feel a little lonely, so I'm gonna hook you up. This is what she tells Jordan. I'm gonna help find you someone. So when I do leave, you'll be good. You ain't got to be calling me back here for for nothing. So that's going on. And then there are paranormals, because this is mostly a paranormal town, Maple Hollow. And basically, some of the paranormals are not happy about the humans that are starting to sprinkle in. Like, y'all come visit for Halloween and shit like that. Yeah, sure. But we're going to need for y'all to take y'all asses back home. I don't know where you got to go, but you got to get the hell up out of here. So so some of the paranormals are just like, what, all these humans are moving in, we just don't like it. You know what I mean? Like, this, So there's kind of like this little secret, almost kind of like rebellion that is going on between some of the paranormals in town to get the humans up out of here. That includes Jordan and, Harlow and her sister. And then we have it where it's kind of like, it's not like full blown mystery suspense, but it's kind of like a little mystery that is kind of like thrown in there as well, because we kind of find out that maybe Jordan's ex-girlfriend, her accident wasn't an accident. So there are multiple story plots going on inside of the story, but I do feel that it did not overtake the romance. It was a nice balance between everything that was going on that blended well into the romance, and it made sense for the outside things that were happening. It made sense because both those things technically tied into this romance that is developing between Harlow and Jordan. Now, the romance that goes on between them, it was cute, it was quirky, I liked it. Like I said, they had instant attraction. I love that they started off as friends. They started like this friendship. Harlow comes over and she's just like, because Jordan is just like, oh, well, we trying to get my dead ex-girlfriend, back over to the ghost world. Do you want to come over and like try to help us, figure this out and stuff? So, they start off this little friendship or whatever, and then it goes into a romance. But I like the energy between Harlow and Jordan. I think they had like great energy together. Love the side characters that were in the story as well. They weren't so much discussed where, we lost focus on our main romantic couple, which is Jordan and Harlow. Yeah, I like the book. It's a short book. It's really cute. It has that whole vibe, fall vibe. cover going on. So, if you want to like add this to your fall TBR, you love paranormal reads, sapphic, sapphic romances, then definitely add Pumpkin Spice and Poltergeist to this one. It's a really cute book. I like the town of Maple Hollow. I think I read another book by a different author where, it's basically like this town of paranormals. There are humans like sprinkled here and there. But I'm kind of like getting these little vibes of like, these little, mostly the residents of these little small towns of paranormals and things like that. It's giving very cute vibes, and I like it a lot. This is a really cute and fast read. So if you're looking for something cute, something fallish, you know, to add to your TBR, definitely check this book out. Then we move on to Drunk in Love, A Friends to Lovers Romantic Suspense by Aaliyah Deanna. I hope I'm saying that right, Aaliyah Deanna. This was cute, and basically we have this romance that starts between Kamaya and Maxwell. They work for like this security investigative agency. They're co-workers who become best friends, who eventually becomes lovers through this story. And what happens is Maxwell and Kamaya actually get their own, are assigned to their own case. In this book, and basically they're assigned to a case where they work for a company where this company is basically being cyber attacked, and Kamaya is like, this computer genius, internet genius. She can figure these things out, and basically Maxwell was the bronze. She was the brain, he was the brawn. Okay, the muscle. That's another word. He was the muscle. Okay. But it was a really, for the most part, I like the book. I like the energy between Kamaya and Maxwell. She really didn't do too much, conflict between them. Kamaya did have some, issues or whatever, because when they were friends, Maxwell was one of those guys that, I don't do relationships, had a really bad breakup, plus his daddy was a Rolling Stone. And it was just like, because my daddy fucked up, I'm fucked up. So, I don't really do relationships like that. So Kamaya is kind of like moving carefully, with how she, how she is taking this relationship with Maxwell. But Maxwell understands that, maybe he put his foot in his mouth, when they were friends, and maybe he shouldn't have been saying all that shit he was saying, because now she's just like, don't come over here playing no games, because if we're going to do this, we are going to do this. But I feel like mostly the suspense, we don't really get any suspense. Just my opinion. I just feel like we really didn't get like much suspense until the end of the story, when they finally figure out, who's, cyber attacking this company that they are working for. But mostly during the read, we're getting much of a development of this relationship between Maxwell and Kamaya. The build up to the suspenseful part is happening, while the romance is being built between them. And I thought it was a good combination. Again, something that didn't overtake, the romance that is going on inside of this book, because there is a side character that Kamaya is pretty much like, attracted to or really likes when we first go inside the book, but we're gonna find out he ain't shit, what I'm saying? So, Maxwell is trying to, like, in the beginning, navigate this, friendship, if he wants to keep a straight friendship, or move a little bit further with Kamaya, because he's always liked Kamaya. He just never, he just never took it a step further, because, it was, the work relationship, and then they became friends, and then, again, foot in mouth. So, it was a really cute read. I like the read. It's a short amount of pages. Yeah, I liked it. Like I say, even though the suspenseful part really doesn't happen, until like the end of the book, I still enjoyed the book for what the author gave us. I liked it. And then the next book we have is Triggered by Pamesh. This is a paranormal romance, and this has the whole kind of like, dark and light elf, elf thing. Not elf, fairy, fae, fae. God damn it, fae. Seeing storyline going on, and basically, it's told from multiple. We're getting multiple POVs inside of this book, but the main story focuses on Lila, who comes to find out that she's not human. She's actually a Fae princess. And she finds this out when her soulmate, Malik, comes to visit her one night. Her mama was out. And he comes to see, he finally finds her, and he pretty much tells her, like, you ain't even human. You need to go talk to your mama, okay? Because your mama ain't telling you the full truth. He's like, I'm going to tell you some things, girl. But I'm just going to tell you that your mama is lying to you, and you ain't fully human. You and your mama need to have a conversation. So that's pretty much is what's going on. Her mother, who's Aziza inside of this story, Aziza pretty much left the Fae world that she helped create. She's just like, she was like mother, this creator of this, this Fae world or whatever. And she left because her life, as well as Kamaya's, Lila, when Lila was a baby, was in danger. So she had to leave. But Aziza also left behind her soulmate, and was in this telling that Pamesh gives us, the males, if they are not around their soulmates, they slowly get sick and die. So it comes to the point where the world that Aziza left behind, it is now kind of like deteriorating, because the king, she was queen, the king is sick and he ain't doing well. So not only do they have to go back to, help fix this world and get it back to where it was, but she got to go save her elf husband. But in a human world, she had done got remarried to a human, but was passing it off like, yeah. I feel like that part was a little bit confusing, only because I feel like, just from reading the book, that we're not going to hear anything else about the human husband that she married when she left the Fae world. So I just feel like we ain't gonna see no more of that man. You know what I mean? And it's crazy. But when they get back to this Fae world, Aziza starts to rebuild this relationship with her Fae husband, the king that she left behind. And Lila is trying to, or not trying to, but she has to get acclimated to this Fae world, and also to Malik, who is her soulmate. So for the most part, I like this book. There are a couple of issues that I did have with the book. Main thing was there is a rape scene inside of the book. Is not heavy on page. You do know that it happens. And then the other thing was that ties to that is that when we get towards the end of this book, not only does it end in a goddamn cliffhanger, y'all, because I was like, what do you mean this is a cliffhanger? And I do not do well with cliffhangers. Generally, if a book ends on a cliffhanger, I more than likely will not pick up the next book. That's just how I am. Like, I understand book 1, book 2, but a cliffhanger, why you do that? Why you do that to me? By the way, at the end of this book, the person that is raped inside of this book is Lila, the main character, okay? And at the end of this book, I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but it'll make sense. Bear with me. At the end of this book, we kind of find out that Lila is pregnant by her rapist. And I did not like that. That took me so out. I mean, like, I'm at the end of the story, but I was just like, oh, not only is it a cliffhanger, but for real? Okay. So, yeah. So, content trigger warning. If that is something that bugs you as a reader, then I will high key suggest you not go into this book, because that is what is going on. Um, for a majority of the book, like I said, we're getting multiple POVs. Lila, before we got to the end of this, is trying to, like I said, acclimate herself to the Fae world, learn about her powers, come into her powers, and things like that. Aziza, who has not been there as well either, she never did lose her power. It was never really talked about if she used them, while she was in the human world, but Aziza never really lost her power, so it was nothing for her to relearn. She did have to start making a relationship with the elf husband, the king, that she left behind. So we get a side story of that. There's also the backstory of why Aziza left with Lila in the first place, and that is because of the king's mother, who was not satisfied with being, the mama of the king. She wanted to actually be in charge of this Fey world that they have going on, and she is the one that is plotting to get rid of Lila and Aziza. So we have that backstory going on as well, and that's also part of the cliffhanger, because the mama was locked up, but there are usurpers that are not fully loyal to Aziza, and I think his name Samba, who is Lila's father, that her Fae father or whatever, who is not loyal to the king and queen. So shit happens, and Lila gets taken again. I was like, Lila is not safe in the human world or the Fae world. Somebody need to save Lila, because what is going on? So yeah, for the most part, like I said, I like the book. Those were some things that did bother me, the things that I mentioned. I do feel like, with all that was going on, the main focus, I feel like, of this book is, getting Lila acclimated to this Fae world, and her starting this relationship or this romance with Malik. We really didn't get that. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like the chances where we could have got, where we saw more of a building of a relationship between Malik and Layla, and maybe also Aziza and Samba, who's the Fae King. We really didn't get that, because we're getting all these other things, and we're still trying to get, like I said, all of them reacclimated to each other in the world and things like that. So yeah, the title is definitely giving trigger for what is going on inside of this book, but it was an okay, good read for me, outside of those things that I discussed earlier. But yeah. Okay. All right. And then the next book we have is Colliding Hearts, A Opposite Attract Romance by Kismet Kaye. Okay, and this is a sapphic romance, as you can tell from the cover. This could also be considered a workplace romance, because we have Olivia, who goes into a romance with her boss, her new boss. Okay, and basically, to start the story off, Olivia is having a hard time, at life, but she does land a new job, and on her first day, she has a goddamn accident, and guess who she runs into, y'all? Just guess. Yeah, her new boss. But the story just kind of like goes from there. It was a really cute read. I really did enjoy this. We didn't really get much conflict between Olivia and her boss name. I'm sorry, her boss name is Shailene. So we didn't really get a whole lot of conflict between them. It's pretty much an easygoing build up of a relationship between them. They are both having some reservations about going into this romance, because it's like their work, their co-workers. Not only are they not co-workers, but Shailene is Olivia's boss, so there's that kind of like conflict of interest, but the attraction could not be denied, which I thought the author did really well on page, building this attraction between Shailene and Olivia. Now, Shailene is lesbian, like full on lesbian. Okay, she is very aware and comfortable with her sexuality. Olivia was is still discovering her sexuality, but in this book she comes out pretty much as bisexual because she was in a relationship with a man that did not go well. Kind of find out that he was a lying, scheming ass man, and this is how she ended up in the debt that she was in, and couldn't really pursue her life work as being an artist because she had to get a job to pay off these goddamn bills. This man had them from the, pay off the money that this man had done stole from her. But and this is where she goes into this romance with Shailene. Shailene was they were just really great on page. Like I said, it's a really low conflict romance book. There really isn't much conflict between these two. They get along well, great. It's a pretty even paced moving story for the most part. So, and I like the energy between Olivia and Shailene. This could also be considered older woman, younger woman. Shailene was much older than Olivia, so we had those vibes going on as well. Throw one bed in there because the situation comes inside of the story where they have to share a hotel room, and this is where they actually act on the attraction. So it's pretty much like, it's not slow burn. I wouldn't say it's slow burn because it is a short book. It's a novella length book. I wouldn't say it's slow burn, but they're pretty much cautious with how they're moving with their attraction with each other because, like I said, they have that that unequal power of exchange thing going on, right? Because Shailene is Olivia's boss, you know what I mean? So they're moving very careful inside of this book. But it was really cute vibes going on with them. I really did enjoy this book, liked it a lot. And I'll definitely have to check out some more books by Miss Kismet, Kaye. And then we have Witches Without Magic by Adrienne Beverly. This was an okay read for me. I feel like I would have enjoyed this book so much more if I would have liked the main female character, the main woman character, because when I tell y'all she had the woe is me isms, oh my god, I was just like, please pull her up out of this because it was getting on my nerves. But anyway, we have Summer, who is a witch, but she is a witch that is struggling with her powers. She believes that she does not have any powers, and she comes from a family of very powerful witches. But Summer has always struggled, and pretty much as she goes into her adulthood, she's pretty much not even practicing her magic because she just believes she's bad at it, or she just doesn't have any. And right now she's just working at this factory that kind of like creates magic potions and stuff like that, and she only got that job because of her grandmama. Not only does she come from a family of powerful witches, but she comes from a very wealthy family as well. So yeah, and basically within this book, she goes into a romance with Lionel, who is not a witch. He's human, or not a warlock, rather. He's human, but he is within this world. So I did like the world that the author created and built, and basically it's kind of like a reimagining of the world in general, where it was like a war that happened between humans and paranormals. Of course, the humans got their ass beat, so it's like this tension there or whatever. But the world is steadily being rebuilt, where it's kind of like want to be inclusive of both humans and paranormals. But like I said, there's still some tension there. But either way, Lionel works at this nightclub, or this club that her uncle owns, and he sings there. And Lionel is having his own issues or whatever. He sings, but he doesn't songwrite. So he loses his songwriter, and him and Summer come together because she now becomes his songwriter. Summer has always written songs, but it was nothing that she ever took too serious because not only is she struggling with her witch powers and things like that, but also she's struggling with living up to what her family wants her to be, right? So sitting down being a songwriter, which she probably makes some motherfucking money at, you know what I'm saying? She doesn't want to be, because she feels like that would be disappointing to her parents. But working at a goddamn factory that creates magical shit is better. Anyway, so like I said, for a majority of this book, I think I just feel like I would have liked this book so much better if Summer wasn't. I just feel like she just whined so much inside of this book. It was just like, oh my god, my magic. Oh my god, I don't have a boyfriend. Why don't I have a boyfriend? I'm like the worst. The woe is memes was so real inside of this girl. I was just like, oh my gosh, she was so much into her head. And then I just feel like the romance that happened between her and Lionel was barely there. This is not a spicy book. You're not gonna get spicy romance scenes or whatever. But I do just feel like, because we had all these outside things going on with Summer, we really didn't, get to like really see a romance develop on page between her and Lionel. There is an attraction there between them, and they do act on it where she eventually becomes like his girlfriend and stuff like that. But that's kind of like being questioned, because her daddy don't really, her father is really just like, he human, you could do so much better than a human, girl. Go find you a warlock, a werewolf, son, but why you gotta be with a human? I think her daddy was a little bit prejudiced. He didn't like humans. but yeah I mean, mainly I just feel like I would have liked this book so much more if Summer just was not in her head so much, and she wasn't whining for most of the book. I was just like, oh my god. And by the time she did get her shit together and things were moving for her, I'm gonna tell y'all the truth, I ain't even care. I was just like, ugh. I just finished the book so I could just get some pages read, honey, because I was just like, girl, if you don't stop all this goddamn woe is memes, I just So yeah, I'm more than likely I'm not gonna finish with this series, because book one, which this is book one, was in Kindle Unlimited, but the second book is not. I was really interested in the second book because the second book is a cousin's book, and I was feeling a cousin during Summer's story, so I was just like, but it is not in Kindle Unlimited. So yeah, right now the way my budget is set up. Mm-mm. And especially how I felt about this first book. Mm-mm. And we move on. Okay. And the next book is Just Right. This is a Why Choose romance by Shon. This is also a retelling of, or it has that whole Goldilocks and the Three Bears theme going on inside of this book. And basically inside of this story, we have Golden, or Goldie, who goes into a relationship with three men. Two of the men are already married. We have Enzo and Cecile, who are already married to one another. They are bisexual men. And then we have Rome, who I feel like was bisexual too. But anyway, she comes to meet them because they all live in this little small mountain town full of black folk, okay? And she is in the forest one day, just writing, journaling, and shit like that. And she takes the wrong class and get wrong way, and gets lost. And she ends up in front of their house. And a lot of things is going on with Goldie at that time. She had to go to the bathroom. She had to charge her phone. She was hungry. Nobody was answering the doors or the windows when she knocked on them. So she broke in. Yeah, she broke in. And she ate some food, charged her phone, fell asleep. And when she woke up, it was a nice piece of cold metal up against her head. And it was three men looking down at her like, who is you and why the hell is you in our house? Okay? And this is how she meets Enzo, Sincere, and Rome. Okay, and I really did enjoy this book. I like this book. I just love the vibes that went on between everybody inside of this book, okay? And pretty much all three of the men are attracted to Goldie. Like I said, Enzo and Sincere are married, okay? And they're the ones to first approach Goldie, as far as, them going into some type of relationship together. And because she's attracted to all three of them, she when not wrong, but when Enzo and Sincere, or mainly Sincere, approaches her, she agrees to go into, a relationship with them, which is supposed to be like a temporary summer thing, which is how Sincere initially offered, approached her with the offer. This is just going to be a temporary summer thing. We'll see how it works out and stuff like that. Sincere is kind of like, I wouldn't say he was insecure, but he wasn't very much sure about a lot of things. So when he initially approached Goldie, it was on some, well, I don't know, I really like her. I really want to, go into, like, I want her to be with us permanently, but I don't know if she's going to want to be for that. So let's just start this as like, a temporary thing and see how it goes. But like I said, she goes, so for a majority of this book, we have it where there's this relationship developing, or going on, not developing, but going on between Enzo, Sincere, and Goldie. Okay, Rome is in the background. Rome is kind of like that quiet force in the back. Rome also is feeling Goldie, but Rome doesn't. He's that quiet, silent, dark type. You know what I'm saying? So he really don't know how to he don't know what to do with them feelings he got going on. He just know he possibly do maybe want to fuck this lady, but it's like, oh, my friends already got something going on with her. So like I said, Rome is pretty much in quiet in the back for most of this book, but he's there. There is moments where him and Goldie are having like talk time and things like that. But eventually she does go into a relationship with Rome as well, and this is where we get this whole why choose situation, because why choose between any of them, okay? Because they all sounded delicious and good to me, okay? Because I was like, somebody put me in between that 3-decker sandwich, okay? And shit, Enzo was rich too. Bitch, Lord, why you don't never offer me nothing like that? Why you don't never put nothing like that in my goddamn way? Because I'll say, hell yeah, who turning. Okay, y'all talking about something, you turn it down. Okay. But anyway, so I like this book. I really enjoyed it. Love the whole description of the town it's called Bliss Peak. I love this whole description of this mountain town that they were all in. It was just really just like great. Goldie just comes in, and even though these men have things going on, Rome owned his own apothecary shop already, but when she comes in, she kind of just kind of like speaks life into them a little bit more. She also she's already on she wanted to open up a bookstore cafe type of thing going on, whatever, and she's not having luck. But what I say, Enzo is rich, so things start happening for her, especially when she goes into this relationship with them, and she just kind of moves them a little bit. She also gets Sincere, to he's a fantastic cook or whatever, she gets him to to move further and do his own little thing on the side where he's cooking and actually being serious about it and things like that. I love the relationship between Enzo and Sincere. I just thought what I really loved about this book is that she just didn't just give us scenes between these three people. She gave us separate scenes with Enzo and Sincere, which I just thought that was really smart. I really did like that, because I was like, yes, come on, okay. She gives us separate scenes with Goldie and Rome. Listen, let me tell you something. I would have been happy with a scene with all four of them. I'm gonna tell you that right now because I was like, what Rome inside of this house before came along, was Rome hooking up with his friend and his husband? Because Rome and Cecilia were friends since college or whatever. But was Rome hooking up with Cecilia in Enzo before came along? I wish she would have explored that because I was way interested in that. I was like, please, Shon, please. I hope we. Oh man, that would have been so hot on page. Mm. A scene between all of them. Mm. Child, my toes would have been curling while reading this. Okay, loved it. This was a really good book. She does, like I said, she has the whole Goldilocks and the Three Bears situation that happens at the beginning, but we slowly start to get, the story eventually turns away from that, and we go inside of this the why choose romance with Goldie and these three men, which is just like really. And last but not least is the Wraith Queen, book one in the Rise of North Gaul by Juliette Cross. Okay, and this was another book that had the whole dark and light fae situation going on, and I enjoyed this book a whole lot. Okay, Miss Cross had me cinched. Okay, I was cinched up reading this book. This book was so good to me. I just, but basically inside of this book we have Gaul, who is or becomes the Wraith Queen. Basically kill his daddy, because his daddy, it was prophesied that Gaul was going to take over for his daddy. His daddy was not having that. His daddy was like, throw his ass in jail. I don't care if he a little kid. Throw his ass in the dungeons below, because he ain't taking over shit here. So, but Gaul eventually is able to kill his father and eventually become a Wraith Queen. Okay, and then he ends up pretty much taking over the Fae. There are different types of Fae inside of this book. There are the Wraith Fae, Shadow Fae, Moon Fae, which is where Una comes in. She's the princess of the Moon Fae, and I think it was Earth Fae or something like that. But we really don't get much of the Earth Fae as of yet. It was kind of like said at the end of the book that they kind of like died out or whatever. But right now, when we go inside the first book, there's a war between the Moon Fae and the Wraith Fae, and yeah, Gaul pretty much just like cuts that right then and there. But Una, who is the princess of the Moon Fae, there's also a damn disease that is taking the Moon Fae out. So Gaul ain't really had to do much because, you know. But Una is trying to find a cure for this plague that is taking out her people, which is where she comes in contact with Gaul. But Gaul pretty much throws he throws some food on the table for Una, like, hey, you marry me, okay? Well, you're gonna marry me anyway, girl, okay? But you marry me, all right? Or you become my, basically it was, what was it? I can't pronounce the word. It was basically like, his head concubine or whatever. You become my head concubine, okay? We form this alliance between the Moon Fae and my people. And guess what? Girl? I ain't gonna slaughter all y'all, okay? This is what's gonna happen, and you're gonna do it. And Una does go into it because she does not want anything else to happen to her people. Her father is already sick with this plague. Her brother eventually gets sick inside of the book, so she eventually decides to go into this alliance with Gaul to save her people. Okay. But for most of the book, the world building inside of this book was really, really excellent. For me, it was just like watching like a show or anime or something like that was going on. The world building inside of this book is fan-fucking-tastic. We have Una, who also does not. So basically what happened with Una was when she was a kid, you know, curious kid, okay, she ended up losing her magic. Okay, so right now when we go inside the book, Una doesn't have magic. And also her wings, which were white, when they grew back, because she was initially captured by Gaul's father and tortured, which is kind of like which is what prompted this war eventually, because her daddy was like, oh, you got my daughter. Okay, and Gaul was the one that actually, when they were younger, Gaul was the one that actually freed Una from his father or whatever and took her back to her people. But when she came back to her people and her daddy was like, what happened to you? Oh, what you mean they was over there torturing you? Oh, okay, war. I'm starting the war. So this is how this war started between Una's and Gaul's people or whatever. So, currently I was like, Una, how you get caught again? How you get caught again? But lucky Gaul had done killed his daddy and taken over. But she still didn't kind of like see that as like a good position, because she was like, you just, she was looking at Gaul like you just as worse as your daddy or whatever. But anyway, there are moving parts inside of this story, because once Una and Gaul form this alliance and they become kind of like this, I say a couple, because there's a romance that develops between Una and Gaul as well. And it's pretty much not like her, like she has attitude with him, but she's really not fighting him for a majority of the book. When you get these paranormal romances where kind of like a marriage or a situationship is kind of like forced, which is pretty much Gaul forces Una to be in this relationship with him. But again, like I said, there are moving parts, but she pretty much, we get it where they are, they start liking and loving on each other pretty much quickly within the story, which I like. She really did not fight him, okay, even though Gaul thought she was fighting him and thought she was trying to leave, she wasn't. Now Gaul eventually wants Una, because it has been prophesied that him and Una being together is the reason why these two Fae worlds will come together. There'll no longer be war between them, and they're going to come together. And Gaul, as Wraith King, is going to pretty much rule over all of the Fae. Okay, so that's why. I mean, he likes Una any other way. You know what I'm saying? He was trying to act like he didn't, but he did. Okay, because he was falling hard. Okay, he was falling hard and fast, and I was like, yay. And then with Una, once she is in this relationship with Gaul, Una eventually got caught first. Caught initially by Gaul's daddy, because there is a cure for her people on the dark side of the Fae world. That's where Gaul and his people live at, okay? And like I said, when she initially found out about it, she was young and dumb, and what I said earlier. So there's also a prophecy surrounding Una, like you see inside of the story, where they're going on like these missions or whatever for her to find this cure for her people. But she's also but she's steadily gaining not just her magic back, her original magic, which was like a healing magic or something like that. She's slowly gaining other powers as her and Gaul go on these missions for her to find this cure for her people. So we have like moving parts inside of this story. And then there's another backstory of someone trying to basically take Gaul out. He just became king and somebody trying to take his ass out already. Okay, old jealous, spiteful ass fucker. Okay, but but all those things tied really, really well inside of the story. I feel like this was another book where we had like multiple moving plots inside of the book, and it did not like interfere or overtake the romance. Pretty much it tied perfectly well into the romance that is steadily or happening or developing between Una and Gaul. I like this book. Listen, give me more light and dark Fae, okay? I'm about to eat them all up. I'm about to go on Amazon and eat them all up, okay? Because yes, this was a really good book, and I high key enjoyed it. And I just said, if you like stories with phase, light and dark, and all that other stuff, I mean, and this cover, this is why I picked the book up, y'all. This cover, this cover is covering. I love it, okay? But yeah, it was a really good book, and I liked it a lot. But yeah, that is it for me. Ooh, I've been here for a minute, y'all. Let me get on up out of here. But that is it for me. Thank you so much for, if you have gotten this damn far, thank you so very much. And until the next one, later days. Bye.